Hello everyone, this is Debbie Henderson from Debbie's Designs. Welcome to my monthly Paper Pumpkin Alternatives class. So tonight I am using the October Paper Pumpkin Kit, which is called Winter Woods. And I'm just going to give it a few more seconds. I can see you guys all hopping on. Thanks so much for joining me tonight. So as I said, the October kit was the Winter Woods. And just a few reminders. So the kit is actually not going to be available for refills this month because we sold so many of them, which is good news. And reminder that if you want the coordinating products, the kits that will be available in November, make sure you're subscribed by November 10th. Now this kit is going to be 24 over-the-top Christmas tags. So make sure, and just in case you need more than 24 tags, make sure you increase how many kits you want by the 10th so that you don't take a chance that there won't be any refills like there is this month. Now I wanted to show you, I did another video previously and I just wanted to show you the cards. So this is what the card looks like if you follow the kit directions. So we've got the die cut trees and the little cardinals and the little snowflakes. And then the envelopes that came have the wood grain printed on the inside. So this is what the kits look like. Now let me show you the alternatives that I did with my previous video. Those were actually found on the back of the brochure. Stampin' Up has started showing us some alternative projects of their own. And I just kind of looked at the photos and did my own thing with them to copy them. The first one uses two of the printed cards, and all I did was cut around the trees and then glued to the front with Stampin' Dimensional so you have the height there. So that was the first one that I did. On the second one, I showed how to use a circle die and partially cut up to this point so that the top of the tree wouldn't get cut off. And I also colored my cardinals. I flipped them over on the white side and colored them with a Night of Navy blends marker. And then for my third one, I had done this cute little shadow box. And you can see how it's rounded on the front instead of being a framed box. And this was a lot of fun. There's a window sheet on the inside also. And another one that I have not, or two more that I have not posted yet. This was the one that I did for Paper Pumpkin on their blog, on their Facebook page. A lot of people like this one. So I used the wood grain from the envelope to create the background on this one. And then my last one before I show you the three I'm going to make tonight. This is one that I did just yesterday using a window sheet. So you can see here that my two moose and the tree die cut are sitting on a window sheet. And then the printed card is on the background. So what I did with this is I cut this so it would be a single piece. I stamped the snowflakes. I folded the window sheet over 1/2 inch to the back. And then I added a piece of Whisper White to cover that. So there's 2 layers here. So this is my window sheet card. So it's kind of neat. So you'll see this on my blog and on my Facebook page probably next week sometime. Hello everyone, I can see everyone signing in. I'm so glad you're here. What I wanted to quickly do is show you how I cut my envelopes apart to make it easy. So I just find the edge, bring the blade, and I do the same thing on the other side. What that does, you open up your envelope and look at the nice paper you can use. And I know a lot of you guys don't want to cut up your envelopes because they're so pretty, but I love this paper so much I didn't mind, and I have plenty of envelopes on hand that I can use anyway. And I am going to show you a few cards where I used the wood grain tonight. So let me start out by bringing what I need for card number 1. So I've got the classic label punch, the story label punch, and the Night of Navy ink is what came with our kit. I'm just bringing in my larger pad to use tonight. And then let me bring in, I've got 2 of the little cardinals, 3 of the little snowflakes. The card base I'm using is shaded spruce, 11 by 4 1/4, scored at 5.5. I did prepare a lot of these ahead of time just to save on time. This is the soft seafoam cardstock. I've gone ahead and embossed it with the layered leaves embossing folder. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that to my card base. So that goes there. Don't those 2 greens look great together? I love the looks of that. Now, this is where I use the envelope. Remember that I cut the envelope open for the wood grain. I cut a little sliver measuring 5 inches by 2 inches. And I'm going to glue that to the front. And I'm going to put that over towards the left. I've cut one of the printed cards to measure 2 3/4 by 3 inches long, and then another piece of shaded spruce, 3 inches by 3 1/4. And what I'm going to do is actually glue this in place with dimensionals. So this one is pretty quick. Actually, all 3 cards are not that bad tonight. My last one is my wow card. I always keep the wow card for last. So I'm going to layer that over the shaded spruce. And I'm going to add this right in the center. Now we have a lot of these little guts left over after we pull the trees out. This is nice paper because it's shimmery, has a little glitter to it. I don't know if you can see that on the camera or not. So I'm actually going to bring in the Winter Wishes sentiment that came with the kit. I'm going to stamp that on the shimmer. I'm just going to rip this off. And that's where I'm going to bring in the classic label punch. Now the other punch that I showed you, I'm going to be using on card number 3. So look how perfectly that fits in there. Now I need my little mini dimensionals. And I'm going to add this right here. And then all I've got left for this one is the 2 little cardinals. I'm going to glue one there and one right here in the tree. And I didn't do any stamping on this one. Whoops, I got a little bit too much glue there. And now I'm going to bring in the little snowflakes. I pulled 3 out already, but I did put these in a dish just to make it easier. And these fit nicely on the glue dots that came with the kit, but I'm going to use my own glue dots to save time. And I'm just going to add 3 to the background. So you can see how nice and simple this card is. And the only thing I added was the shaded spruce cardstock and the soft seafoam cardstock. So there's card number 1. Pretty easy. Now let me get set up for card number 2. Now for card number 2, I'm actually creating a gatefold card. So this measures 8.5 by 5.5, and then you just score 2 1/8 on each end so that the folds are equal on the inside. I'm going to glue a piece of Whisper White to the inside. Now this piece is actually the leftover white from when I cut this piece out. It comes from the card itself, the printed card that came with the kit. I'm going to add that to the inside, and I cut it to measure 5 1/4 by 4. And I've gone ahead, let me make sure I can get my little birds here. I've gone ahead and cut out 2 more pieces of white, and these measure 5 1/4 by 1 7/8, so 2 of those. And we'll glue those in place. I love gatefold cards. It's the same size card, but you're just scoring on each end rather than in the center. Okay, so there's my 2 white pieces. Now what I did with this, I ended up cutting this because I wanted it to continue on each panel. So if you cut down your panel to measure, let me see, 5 inches by 3 3/8, and then split it down the middle at 1 5/8, and then you get the continuous thing going on. So we're going to glue that in place on each panel. It's going to really make a nice card. I liked adding the white in between just to offset the green and the blue. It really separates the two, and I just think it looks great with the white outline. Okay, so there's my 2 panels. Now these are from the 2 labels, and what I'm going to actually do with this is add adhesive. My adhesive didn't go all the way here. I'm going to add this to the bottom. I'm actually going to go ahead and trim that to make it nice and flat on each end. Let me turn this over. It'll be a lot easier. I'm going to do the same thing with this one. I want these to line up with each other. So it looks like one continuous strip, but it's still we're still able to open both flaps. And now I'm going to stamp the Season's Greetings with the Night of Navy on the banner that came with the kit. Now let me just move some of these scraps out of the way. And we want our card to be able to open, so I'm only going to add the stamping dimensionals to 1/2 of the banner. I'm going to put that right over the wood grain. So as you can see, you can still open your card, the gatefold part. And then all that's left on this one is to add the birds. So again, let me add a couple dots of glue. Now I'm adding 3 birds on this one. And let me see, this one goes the other way, so I'm going to add him up here. I actually ended up using all the birds that came with my kit when I did my alternative projects. So again, I'm going to add a few of the snowflakes in the background with my glue dots. I'm going to add 3 of them. So doesn't that make a pretty card, the gatefold? I love the way that looks. And if you like this one, I see all the hearts coming my way. I love seeing hearts. And my 3rd card is going to be my best one. So there's card number 2. Look how quick that was. So just 3 layers and using everything in the kit except for the shaded spruce. The white came from the background of one of my cards also. So I'm not adding a lot of additional supplies here. Now let's get ready for card number 3. Now for card number 3, I did prepare my background ahead of time only because I wanted to let it dry, but I'm going to show you how I did that. You can see here I used the woodland embossing folder, and I actually inked the trees up in white ink, and I'm going to actually show how I did that with the Big Shot machine. Let me just make some room here. So I have a piece of Coastal Cabana. This one actually measures 5 1/4 by 4, and this one is a little bit bigger only because it's going to be my scrap. So I'm going to bring in my folder, and what you want to do is find the side that the trees are sticking upward. So it would actually be the side that has the little Stampin' Up logo on the back, not the one on the front. I'm going to open up my ink pad, and I'm just going to pounce, and you can see where it's inking up my trees. My trees are all turning white. Now, let me bring the big shot in before I do anything else. And I'm going to position my cardstock on the inside. Add my clear plate on top. And then you'll see when I take this out, my trees are all inked up. So how pretty is that? Now this is very wet. That's why I did one ahead of time to give it enough time to dry. My next layers are Night of Navy 11 by 4 1/4, again scored at 5 1/2. So I'm going to glue my inked embossing to the card front. And I hope I can find all my pieces here. We've got this. I think there's my other bird. I knew I had 2. Now what I did with this is I used the story label punch. I have a white Whisper White and a Night of Navy. And I'm actually going to stamp the larger sentiment. Now, what does this one say? I can't remember. This one says, wishing you a Merry Christmas and a very Happy New Year. I'm going to use the Night of Navy ink. That's going to go right there. Now I'm going to layer with this one. So what I'm going to do is go from the top of the curvy piece. I'm just going to cut that across. I just want to square it off. And then I'm going to cut this in half. I'm going to flip this over and add snail on the end. And then I'm just going to layer the ends just like that. Oh, you know what I did? I just added, let me do this again. I put my fingers right over the ink and it wasn't dry. So let me try this again. I'm going to stamp and cut another one. I just smudged it. Okay, let's see if I can do this without making a mess. So again, I'm adding snail. I'm going to try to just do it from holding it on the desktop here. Okay, there's my first one. There's my second one. Now let's go ahead and finish assembling. Now I've got, again, 2 leftover pieces from the shimmery paper. And what I want to do is I want to add this at the bottom, but I also want to add more snow in the background. So I'm actually just going to hand cut a little snowbank. I'm going to do that on both sides. So let me see, this one has to go this way. And then I'm going to add glue to the back. Now I want to make sure I get the shimmery side. And that's going to go right there. Whoops, it's not even on the edge. So we've got that one. And this one. So I just made another little snowbank on each side is all I did. And that's going to be glued right here. And I'm actually going to glue it flat instead of using the dimensionals. So I'm going to bring in the liquid glue. Just go down each tree. So I think this is my favorite out of the three. What do you guys think? I'll bring them back in later when I'm done and you guys can tell me which one your favorite is. Okay, so now I'm just gonna trim this even with the Coastal Cabana. And these cards I never make ahead of time. These are just all in my head. I actually draw some diagrams of what I want to do. Okay, so there's the trees. Here's my little sentiment. And I'm actually going to add this right in the middle. And instead of putting my birds on the trees, I'm going to put the birds on the sentiment, one on each side. So there's that one, and there's that one. So how cute is that? So let me bring all three of them in. There was number 3, number 2, and number 1. And you guys can tell me which one your favorite is. I don't know, I like all three of them. I wanted to announce that starting tomorrow, I'm going to be going live 5 nights in a row at 8 p.m. Eastern Time because we have our Christmas Time is Here suite that will be available to all customers starting November 1st. And I'm going to actually, each night, I'm going to do a card and a 3D projects, and then I'm going to have a special project on night number 5. So make sure you join me tomorrow starting at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm going to feature my first 2 projects using the suite. So here's my paper pumpkin box. And this is it for tonight. I'm so glad you guys joined me. Have a good night, everyone, and I'll see you tomorrow.